Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Mondays Beyond the Mic. This is the place where we go beyond surface level topics and relationships. This space provides us with an opportunity to delve into more personal and profound aspects of our lives. As you know, we are not professionals, but we always invite professionals on. So thank you for those that are returning. We hope you enjoyed your Labor Day weekend, but we are back. As a disclaimer, as always, the number one rule here is respect, respect, respect. Everyone's opinions will be respected. Those are the house rules. Hey, co-host, how you been? We got another co-host down here, Coach Trey. So how's everyone doing?
Doing well, and hope everyone enjoyed their Labor Day weekend.
I am great, great, great. And thank you for having me. I'm so excited. I'm
Thank
always
you.
down
And
for a
we
good
thank
conversation.
Yes, and we thank you for answering the call. We like to, as we tell our viewers, we talk from our personal aspects and we bring from our perspectives. And we know that these topics and relationships are vast, so we invite professionals on to just chop it up and give some professional advice because we are professionals, but in different lanes.
Yes.
Right. So, let's say hello. Let's see. Do we have some? Elaine, do your part, please. Tell the people, give the
Oh, oh,
people the instructions, please.
okay. Here are the instructions, people. Okay, are you with me? What I need you to do is like, share, and subscribe. And we would absolutely love a super chat. So look forward to seeing those likes, subscribes, and shares, and super chats.
Right, because we know even if you're in the balcony, we know y'all be out there watching and looking. It's free 99. We always say it is free 99. Just mash
Yes.
it up. I'm Jamaican, y'all. I'm back to being Jamaican. Mash it up. So let's get into it. So, co-host, why don't you introduce our special guest for tonight?
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. Tonight, I have the opportunity to introduce Trey Kearney. She is a certified life and relationship coach who specializes in helping men, women, and families to heal from the devastation of infidelity. She is passionate about helping individuals bounce back from betrayal. Trey believes that everyone deserves to be happy. So, welcome.
Hello, I'm here. Yes. So this topic is good
Yeah.
because I do help men, women, and families heal from the devastation of infidelity. And there's always some behaviors involved.
So we're gonna have to do a whole nother show just on infidelity and the behavior. You're laughing. I am so serious.
I'm here for
I
it.
am
That is my
so
passion.
serious because the show is about relationships, all things relationships.
Yes, I'm
So
here. I'm
th-
all things relationships.
yeah, that sounds juicy. Who doesn't want to hear about? And I mean, we touched on it. We talk about it. What was done to us, but I'm quite sure you could share some things and omit some names and some stories. But that's for a whole nother show. I'm getting excited.
Yes.
So tonight's show is Three Shades of Narcissism. And why we said three shades, because there are a lot of subsets within narcissism. So we do not just want to generalize the entire topic. A little history on narcissism. Y'all know y'all going to get a little history here with us because we like to give some history, some statistics, that kind of thing. So we're not just talking in the air and throwing things around. So a little history of narcissism. The term narcissism was first described by the Roman poet Ovid in his work Metamorphosis Book 3. This myth centered around Narcissus, a character cursed to fall in love with his reflection. Lord have mercy. How you falling with your own? So was he like in the mirror? Or I digress. I'm gonna keep going. I'm sorry. It has been coined and used by many psychologists such as Havelock Ellis, Sigmund Freud, and psychoanalyst Ernest Jones. However, it was not until 1968, during the era of the second edition of the DMS, the second version, that Heinz Kuhart termed narcissism. Right now, current statistics suggest that NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, affects about 1% of the population, with men being more likely to exhibit narcissism traits than women. Again, the three subsets we will discuss tonight are covert narcissism, braggart narcissism, and malignant narcissism. So that's a little history. Before we go on, we have some of our faithfuls in. So we like to call this our commercial break. So we're going to go to our commercial break.
So Bravo with Sheila Network says, blessings, ladies. Blessings. Thank you. Antoinette says, good evening, all.
Hey, Antoinette.
Michael Hollingsworth said, good evening. Good evening, Michael.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. So let's just dive right into it. Co-host, take it away.
Okay, I just want to put a disclaimer out there because in you reading what it said 1%. So you didn't make that up. That was what was said by researchers. Okay.
I promise I didn't. We're not in bashing. That's why I put it in there so we don't get the heat and the smoke. We're not trying to get no smoke from no men. That's why I read it.
Okay. So covert narcissism, the definition of covert narcissism is marked by a hidden sense of entitlement, insecurity, and passive aggressive behavior. In relationships, covert narcissists may play the victim, seek constant validation, and manipulate through guilt or emotional withdrawal. Here are some of the questions. 1, how does a covert narcissism affect the emotional dynamic in a relationship? So how does the person with this personality affect the emotional dynamics in the relationship?
I'll start if you want me to start.
Yes, it is for you.
Well, when it comes to a covert narcissist, and probably all of the narcissists, but we're talking about covert narcissists right now, it's hard and it affects the emotional state of the relationship because they lack empathy. And empathy is something that we all need in relationship. That's like one of the number one things that we need in a relationship is to have a partner that empathizes with us. But if you're dealing with a covert narcissist, they're never going to empathize because they don't have the ability or the skill to empathize. So that's one of the reasons it affects the emotional state of the relationship. So, and I have to say this too, I believe that there are many women who are narcissists, and I know it's 1%, but I believe that we like to throw that term around, especially for men, and we have to be careful. And I don't want to talk too much, but I also want to say that every time a person breaks up with you, and I'm speaking from my experience from coaching men, women, and children through the devastation of infidelity. Lots of the women that come to me, they want to say that the man is a narcissist. And I just want women and men to know, if this person has not been diagnosed as a narcissist and you're looking at these crazy people on social media who got a doctor in front of their name, not like Dr. Elaine, but they got a doctor in front of their name because they put a doctor in front of their name and they told you, oh, your man got, and your family, he a narcissist. Make sure the person is a narcissist because you can't fix the problem of dealing with a narcissist if you're not dealing with a narcissist.
and that's so good. And this is one of the reasons why we broke it down in 3 subsets, to not to just lump it all in, because this term is being thrown around so loosely. And people are just saying it and not really knowing the meaning of it and how they're actually labeling people. So this is why we wanted to break it down into 3 subsets. But real quick, commercial break, because look at the men talking already.
Michael says, because it was coming. Okay. Laugh out loud. Theo said, 3 of my favorite people. We love you, Theo.
Hey, Theo.
Madeline said, good evening. Great topic, ladies.
Hey, Maddie. Okay, this our little commercial break.
Kathy said, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Kathy.
Good evening.
Lady Dawn B says, happy Monday, Harlem Girls family and Bravo Nation.
Yeah, so we're going to go back to the questions and get into that. But I'm so glad you made that point, because we really, really want to make that clear.
And I'm so glad you guys broke it down to the 3 subsets so that people can understand. And the fourth subset is everybody ain't a narcissist. So let's, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know y'all know I'm not talking crazy. Y'all know that these people out here calling everybody narcissists. And sometimes they be the narcissist because they got this puffed up sense of self that how could this man not want to be with me? Like, he don't like you
getting
no
over
more.
your head, but go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Elaine. I'm sorry. He just don't like you no more. Go ahead, Dr. Elaine.
Okay, so question number 2. What common manipulative tactics might a covert narcissist use in a relationship, and how can one recognize them? So identifying those tactics.
Mixed messages. That's one of them. Passive aggressive. One thing I can't stand is a passive aggressive person. Like, you either need to tell me, don't make it sound sweet and you jabbing me in my chest. Like, you know, y'all have dealt with some passive aggressive people, right? You ever dealt with a passive aggressive man? He say it so sweet, but he mean it so sour. And you like, did you just insult me? But you said it so nice. That's those
Right.
narcissists. That's how they do you. They say it's so sweet, but it's so hard. And you like, am I crazy? Or did he just tell me? Did he just call me something, but he didn't call me something? And that's the gaslighting. That's another sign, the gaslighting. So it's like passive aggressive. He's so sweet, but did he? Yeah, those are the things.
So would you just say like a part of that is they confuse you, or they have the ability to confuse you?
Yes,
To make you think.
manipulative. Yeah, to make you think that they said something good to you when they said something bad to you instead of just saying it to you. But that's the difference between knowing that a person is a narcissist and a person that's having a real conversation with you. Because we have to be able to communicate with our spouse, and they have to say some things that are not going to be pleasing to us, but it shouldn't be sneaky snake. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just what? Like, you could just tell me we need to work on this, but it needs to be a we and not a you. Because narcissists will always make it about you. Oh no, ain't no we in this. So no, we ain't equipped to do this. Not just me, we. So don't make it like you this professional and I'm this amateur and you know something I don't know because you don't have no degree in it either. And they'll make you feel stupid in a subject that they're just as dumb in. I hope I could say that. They'll make you feel
dumb. You can
yeah, they'll make you feel stupid in a subject that they're just as dumb in, that they don't know no more, but they'll act like they know so much more than you. You don't have no degree in that either, sir or ma'am, because women do it too. So
both
we gotta
ways.
keep that. Yeah, we got to keep that out there because the men. I'm an advocate for Black men, so the men be like, "Tell them, Trey," and I'm like, "Y'all too," but it's all of us.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We all have some of these narcissistic traits, though, and you know what's going on too a lot, ladies, is there's a little narcissism so much in all of us right now with social media. I had to fall back on taking selfies because I was like, yo, you doing way too much with it. Who do you think you are? No, it was just starting to irk me myself because I'm looking at myself and I'm taking 999 until I get the perfect one. Like, what are you doing? So we all have to be careful of slipping into that narcissistic zone of the self-puffiness and all of this. Look at me, I'm the ish, and it's about me. But wait a minute, Trey. Wait a minute. You out here trying to love on people and help people, but you made this whole thing about the pictures that you posted. So we got to fall back sometimes and look in the mirror at ourselves of how much of narcissistic traits that we all have.
Yeah.
That's
And
good.
being that you said that, co-host, I want to jump around real quick because I had something, but being that you brought it up, there's an article in Psychology Today, and it's saying narcissism is rising. And the article delves into the rise in prevalence of narcissism in modern society, particularly in the context of social media, role in fueling self-promotion and competition and attention. It provides insight into how narcissist behaviors are linked to the culture of selfie, and they call something FOMO, which is fear of missing out.
Yes.
A glimpse into the psychological and social drives behind the trend. So, yeah, I was holding that, but being that you brought it up, listen, we like to flow here, so spot on. And that article is in Psychology Today.
Ooh, you got to check yourself because people talk about narcissism, and I look up the definition, and I'm not a narcissist expert. I look up the definition, and I read the definition of a narcissist a while ago, and I said, that kind of sort of sound like me. You know what I'm saying? If you read, can you pull up the definition of a narcissist? And we all could read it in the context of it sounds like all of us, if we all think that we deserve the best. We all have this puffed up image of ourselves, but this is what our parents taught us. And we got to look at the things that we need to unlearn because they didn't do it to us on purpose. But if you read the definition of a narcissist, you'll be like, am I a narcissist? Because wait a minute. And for men, if you read the definition of a narcissist, sometimes it sounds like the man has picked up his mother's traits. So if a man was in a home with his single mom and you read the definition of a narcissist, it may be like he's not a narcissist. He just has his mother's traits and the things that she made it like she was the most important. And I'm entitled. You know what I'm saying? So we got to look at these things and be like, So that's why I stopped with like all of the selfies so much, because I started to feel some kind of, and thank you for that article, because I didn't even know that. I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, this is not about you, especially those of us who love the Lord. You're like, yo, you all in your ego, Trey. You all looking at your picture like, this the cute one. This you killing it on that one. You slaying. Your face card never declined.
So Antoinette says you're talking so right.
Listen, I'm honest with myself. The only way to stay away from things that you don't want to be is to be honest when you start to be those things.
Absolutely. I love that. I think
that's good.
And if I could just add, I think one of the things that you said, and when we look at the covert, is saying, you're manipulating through guilt. Like when you're being intentional about doing something. So it's almost saying, okay, I want to have my way with you, whatever that looks like, male or female. So I learned to guilt you into what I want, and emotional withdrawal. So if you don't give it to me, I'm going to pull away from you so I can hurt you until you give me what I want.
And where do we learn that from?
That just sounds like a spoiled child.
Right. And we learn from our parents. They manipulated us into doing some things, right? Like they really emotionally manipulated us. Like, I'm not, go in your room. You can't get a hug. Not that there's some things that they did it on purpose, but when you think about what Dr. Elaine just read, it's like, wow, this is what I learned to do in my home to get what I want. So I was taught
clean your room,
kind of sort of manipulate. Right.
Well, you can get the ice cream, bring home all A's, and you can get the sneakers. Yeah.
So we just have to be mindful of it, that it was discipline, but we can't carry it over into our adult relationships because our parents did it to teach us consequences, but we're using it to manipulate in a narcissistic way as we get older because the person that we're with is not our child. So we took those things with us to teach them a lesson. And it's like, you don't treat an adult like that. You have a conversation with an adult. You don't manipulate them with the silent treatment. You don't manipulate them by withdrawing from sex. But we've been taught as young people that our parents would do certain things to get us to do certain things. So we got to be careful that we're not slipping into the narcissism zone.
Right. And I think also on that, it's that narcissists, they lack the empathy, right?
Yes.
I mean, I don't feel like, so what? If that's how, and that's Maddie said, narcissists lack empathy. So you have to be able to say, can I empathize with you if something's going on, to check ourselves? And I think even going back to what you said about parents, I mean, I think it depends on the household in which you were raised and how they used, whether that's get straight A's or clean your room or whatever that may be. But we have to learn, to your point, when we're talking to adults, we cannot treat adults like we treat children or our children. And I think that the learned behavior opposed to unlearning what we learned as adults when we're in a relationship with another person who is equal in age and all of those things.
Yes. Yes. This is so good. Yeah, so good. Because I'm thinking about myself right now. Because when we have these conversations, it's so good to put the mirror in your own face in order for all of us to grow. We're not only here to teach, but I'm always in the room to learn because I don't know everything. And I'm just like, yeah, my mother some of the things that we're talking about right now, my mother used it in a way to discipline, and I carry that over in my communication style and me getting somebody to do what I want them to do. And right now I'm thinking, you can't do that to a grown man. Like, what do you think you are? Like, you're just not going to talk to him because he's not doing what you want. It's like, you need to grow up.
Yeah, that's good.
Bravo with Sheila said, yes, narcissists totally lack empathy and they are known as blaming. They take no accountability. They feed off of
Impacts.
She got to
okay.
keep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wait.
that's good. You got cut off.
And listen to this, to her comment, if I could say this. I hope I'm not talking too much.
No, it's okay.
To her comment, we have to stop blaming a narcissist that we're entertaining. Okay, when they show you who they are, believe them. It's a lot of people like, my husband's a narcissist, this person's a narcissist. So why are you still there? Like, what are you doing? What are you getting out of staying with a narcissist? And I know we're going into the other forms of narcissism, like the malignant narcissism, where there's violence involved. We're going to talk about that later. But for those of you who are not in a violent relationship, you all talking about this narcissist, but you stand with this person because they pay the bills. So you're just as guilty as the narcissist. And we got to be accountable for the people that we entertain for way too long, knowing that we're going telling our sister, our mother, our best friend, the therapist, he a narcissist. So what does that say about you, that you're entertaining a narcissist?
Because even within that, you're enabling that person.
Right.
You're complaining about the person. However, you're doing nothing, but you're staying there and you're not even checking that person or pulling that person on the carpet about what they're doing or what their behavior is, even if they are a narcissist, right? Because we're just listening to people and he may not even be that. However, by you staying, you are enabling that behavior.
Yep. When you stay, you give permission.
Or she's going to keep doing whatever it is until you pull that person on the carpet and make it plain.
And
that part, period.
That part, yes. This is what we have to start owning up, because we love throwing around the word narcissist to soothe our own soul, to talk about somebody else. But you are responsible for who you allow in your space. I don't entertain narcissists. I don't entertain, like you said at the beginning, there will be no disrespect tolerated here. So we already have a boundary, right, Coach? We already have a boundary that we're not allowing disrespect. So if you're in a relationship with a narcissist and you set a boundary, you're the only one that got to honor your boundary. You're staying with that person. And all the time I ask women when they come to me and they start talking about narcissists, you're a victim if you don't know, because some people don't know that they're dealing with a narcissist. Some people don't know. But we soon find out when we start talking to people, when we start doing research, when we start going to therapy. Now you're staying there. So I ask my clients, why are you staying with a narcissist? And they say, I don't know. Yes, you do. The only time we stay with people who are doing things to us that is not pleasing to us is because we're benefiting in some way. And once you figure out what void they're feeling or how you're benefiting, and you can feel it yourself or other people, you'll be able to walk away from a narcissist. Because that narcissist is giving you something.
That's good. Yeah, and benefiting at what cost? Your soul, your spirit. What are you sacrificing to be with this person? Right? We going on, but they talking to us, so we're gonna take a quick commercial break.
Okay.
Kathy said, instead of being self-centered, we need to learn how to self-check ourselves.
Yes.
Maddie said, you become their feeding ground. Bravo with Sheila says, convert narcissists are pretenders. The public gets the nice guy, but at home, they are a different person. It is said, if you are with a true narcissist, run in capital letters.
In caps.
Yes.
I mean, I think that this was really great, and it made me think, right? Because if anybody knows me, I say I was married to one. And I think if I had to break down just listening to this definition, I'm like, yeah, it was probably that. And to your point, I mean, I was 26 years old. And I think when I got married, I had this other thought of what it looked like. But later on discovered it wasn't what it was. And then to your point, why do you stay? Well, I have children now, right? And I came from a home where my parents were married until death did them part. And so in my head, divorce was like a no-no, like you don't do that. And it's going to be frowned upon. So you try to fix it, you pray about it, you do all of these, and especially in the context of, you know, from I want to say a religion,
Yep.
a religion aspect, like you just pray about it, God will fix it, God will fix it. You go to counseling, you do all of those things, and then you come to the resolve to what you said was like, now I have to decide I can't do this. And what does that look like to get away from it? But I would say on the other side, there's a lot of trying to figure it out, right? Because you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And then when you do know, you figure, I got all of this other stuff invested here.
Yep.
How do I exit? And especially, I will say, if my lifestyle is being taken care of and my children are being taken care of, I don't have to worry. Can I put up with it? That becomes, I mean, whether it was a narcissist or someone who committed infidelity, doesn't matter. You always think, what do I have to lose versus if I stay? What does that look like?
Right.
Ultimately, and people have heard me say it, at the moment that I realize I'm losing my peace, then nothing is worth a peace of mind or my health.
Yes.
So I just think that there's, layers to that of the win. And I've had people say, well, why aren't you married now or whatever? Because you now, when you know better, you do better.
Yes. Come on now. Somebody needed to hear that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And again, once you know, and I work with my clients who have gotten to the point where they know that this is the situation and they are concerned about, I got to leave with my kids. I'm not equipped to leave with my kids. I'm not emotionally equipped. And I'm not saying you just leave. There's an escape strategy. There's an exit strategy that you must put in place. Nobody's going to leave their home with their children unequipped. So you have to put together a strategic plan. You got to go get help from a professional to sit down and say, how much do you need in your bank account to be comfortable with leaving the situation? What do you need to get to that? How much do you need to save? What do you need to cut out of your spending? Like Dr. Elaine said, is your peace of mind worth doing what you need to do? Is the risk worth the reward? Is being uncomfortable worth the reward of getting your peace of mind and your mental health back? Dealing with a narcissist makes you mentally ill. Let me say that again for somebody. Dealing with a narcissist destroys your mental wellness. It will destroy your mind. And you have to make a decision that my mental health is worth more than any coat, any shoes, any car, any house. And you must understand that narcissist is affecting your children. Children are smarter than we think. And I hate to use the word hate, but they hate him. They hate to see him coming. They hate to be in the house with him. They hate his voice. And then they begin to resent you because mom or dad, or her voice, because mom or dad, why are we staying here? Look how he treats us, because a narcissist doesn't have empathy for their kid. They will pretend and manipulate to pretend like they have empathy for their child until it's no longer beneficial to them. Because I'm dealing with someone, and when it's not beneficial to him, then he don't want to have nothing to do with the whole situation. So you have to understand your children are being affected by this narcissist just as you are, because he's treating them the same way when they are not a benefit to his cause. Because again, a narcissist is self-centered. It's all about me, 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 me. And that does not exclude our children.
This is good.
That's good and true.
Oh, yes.
I'm like,
yes,
amen.
yes,
I'm
yes.
ready to put the Cash App up or something.
Right.
I'm telling you, we're living this. All of us have been in contact with a narcissist, right? Some form of a narcissist. And we have to be honest with ourselves of who is affecting around us. And some of us need to be honest with ourselves and say that, I have narcissistic tendencies. I'm not saying I'm a narcissist, but the way that I'm behaving the way I'm manipulating my husband into doing what I want him to do, the way I'm giving him the silent treatment, the way that I think that my needs are more important than his needs. You got to look at yourself to understand that when you're in a relationship with a person, your needs are 100% valid, his needs are 100% valid,
Mm-hmm.
and both people need to know that, or you start behaving like a narcissist. You start to do whatever you can do to manipulate this person. And check this out. Sometimes it's not bad things that you're doing to manipulate the person. You're allowing them to do things that's unacceptable to you so that they stay with you. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's not that you're yelling and screaming at the person to manipulate them or silent treatment, but you're manipulating them by doing things that you don't necessarily want to do, even in the bedroom. You don't want to do that. You know, you don't
Mm-hmm.
want anal sex, but you're doing it to manipulate this person into staying with you because the fear of him leaving you is more scary than you honoring your own body. So we have to make
Mm.
sure that we haven't flipped the switch to be manipulators and narcissists or have narcissistic tendencies while we're calling the other person a narcissist.
That's good.
I used to manipulate people. You know, manipulating people is when you don't want to give them a ride, right? Just these simple little things. You don't want to give them a ride, and you give them a ride because you don't want them to be mad at you or leave your life. You're manipulating somebody into staying in your life and doing what you want them to do. Like I used to manipulate people by being nice, by being
Mm.
finding value in being used. I used to
Mhm.
manipulate people that I did not want to leave my life or that I wanted around me. So I was nicely manipulating and maneuvering them into staying and doing what I wanted to
Mm.
do because I'm so nice. But inside, I was like, this pisses me off. But I'm gonna do it because I need them to do this.
And that's a good twist, and that's a good way of looking at it because we always look at it as it in the negative, and it has to be negative, right? But covert, right? We're talking about covert narcissism. Okay, so I'm gonna be undercover in a good
Come
way
on.
and manipulate you.
Ooh,
So
ooh.
yeah, yeah. Antoinette said, "Wow, that part."
I'm telling you, it was
Yeah.
me. And I didn't know it was me until I started going to therapy and coaching. And I realized I found value in being used. I did stuff, I let people use me so that they would stay in my life or they would stay around me or they would puff me up or they would betray such a great person. She does everything for everybody. But meanwhile, I was boiling on the inside, like people always
Wow.
using me. And I'm like, after therapy and coaching, I said, people ain't using you. People can't do anything to you except what you expect and what you accept.
And allow.
And yeah, come on, somebody need ain't being nice no more. No, no. If you're supposed to be around, you're gonna be around. I'm a nice person. I
Absolutely.
do for
Love it.
people. I do for people because I love them. Because I don't want people to love me for my hand and not my heart. And that's what narcissists manipulate us through giving. Giving, love me for my
Mhm.
hand and not my heart till I paralyze you to have to
Wow.
need me. And this is why a lot of women are in relationships with narcissists because he paid the bills and he tricked her when she was 26, right, Miss Dr. Elaine? He
Oh,
tricked her
absolutely.
when she was 26 and he's taking care of everything. So now I'm totally dependent. I don't know how to pay the gas bill. He pays the car note. So now I'm just stuck.
Listen, I'm a park right there, and one of the things that Pache would tell me, I was like, no, I've never done it. The first time that I ever in my entire life, I think I was like 40. The first time I ever wrote a rent check, I was like, what's this?
Oh, real talk.
Listen, listen. She told me that I almost fainted. I literally almost fainted.
Real talk. Listen.
And because I did not, um, I was like, that wasn't my world. I didn't know how. And at that point is when I found the courage to be like, I can't stay here. I can't live like this. It was like literally loving you is killing me. And
Mm,
that's what was happening.
woo.
So I just think that to listen to what you're saying, and I'm like, wow, wow. And we didn't at that time, I didn't know, never heard the term narcissist. You just figured, you know, I was young and thinking when you get married, you just stay married forever and you just work it out, and it doesn't matter what the person does because this was your chosen person.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was just a lot of miseducation on what it looked like. And I wanted to, I thought I I wanted to replicate this marriage I saw with my parents.
Mm.
So I was like, no, my parents did. I never saw them argue. I never saw them do this. I never saw. So I was trying to figure out what was I doing wrong, because I was not living what I saw in with my parents, you know.
And it's crazy because the gaslighting, because you were doing all the things.
Yeah.
You were a good wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm cooking up. Say that. But say that. Yes, ma'am.
Good
You
wife.
were doing all the things because you were taught, because you came from, you know, and then you're thinking to yourself, what am I not doing? And women need to hear this. And it's not, what are you not doing when you're dealing with a narcissist? Because you're never going to be able to do enough.
And that is so true. I didn't matter what I did. There was always something that you could like. I'm like, wait, and I often say this. I am so glad that I had a great relationship with my dad, and I had a healthy self-esteem, because what began to happen for me was I was like, wait a minute, no. And I had to take the power back. But that was after time and trying to figure out and learning not to be silent, meaning
Come on.
I had to speak up and tell people, this is what I'm dealing with. Like, is it me? You help me understand. So
Get the help. Get the help.
Maddie says they also break your spirit and your whole being if you let them.
Let me say this. Can I say this to Maddie? Because I know that we have dealt with some things, but we have to take accountability for our part. And we have to, and I'm not saying this is Madeline doing this. I'm just saying we have to stop playing the victim. At some point, I know they can break your spirit and all of these other things, but at some point, you got, like Dr. Elaine said, you got to snatch your life back by any means necessary. You got to stop saying, once you know you are no longer a victim, you are a volunteer. Once you know, you can't say they can break your spirit and they can do all of that. But once you know you're dealing with a narcissist, it is your responsibility to take hold of your life. And this is a disclaimer, and it's okay for all of us. I hope that we're not talking about a person in a domestic violence situation ever, because that's a whole different topic. But we're talking about a mind game, DV, I'm sorry. We're talking about a mind game playing narcissist. So if you know it's time for you, again, like Dr. Elaine said, to start saying to people, this is kind of, I know that I didn't say that. And I know that I didn't do that, because they'll blame you and they'll play the victim. And you'll be sitting there like, what? No, you have to really be solid in yourself and have a good core group of people around you that you can go and talk to and trust and be vulnerable. Because you're going to have to be vulnerable, because there's crazy stuff going on. And a lot of people, listen to this part too, and then I'm going to let y'all talk. A lot of people know the narcissist from outside of the home, and he's a great guy or she's a great woman. So they looking at you like, Johnny? Oh, not Johnny. And you're like, Johnny. Yes. And you're like, okay, this is not the person that I need to talk to, because there'll be a person that say, I knew that about Johnny. I was wondering when you was going to catch up. And it's usually a family member.
That's so good. We on number one, but we gonna move on, because I think we kind of answered 3. And co-host, you want to read 3? I think we kind of touched on that.
We could
before we
let's
move
go
on
to the next one. I mean, this is good.
Let's go to the next one. This is good stuff. So the next one is a braggart narcissism, which means that definition is constantly boasting about their achievements, intelligence, or success, often at the expense of their partner's confidence. They seek admiration and control conversations to ensure the focus remains on them. That's a braggart, right? Now, the question I have is, What are the emotional impacts of being in a relationship with the braggart narcissist, and how does it affect communication?
They will tear your self-esteem to shreds because that is their
Wow.
main purpose as a braggart, is to tear your self-esteem to pieces, because the thing about them is they are so insecure. They don't even believe what they're saying. So they want to take away, you can have 52 master's degrees and they will make you feel so small from them bragging about the little thing that they did, the little business that they started. They will make that business look like they got a fleet of trucks and they driving for Coca-Cola. But you ain't nothing with your 62 master's degrees and your doctrine and you done been all over the world, and they just tearing you down in front of people too. And they passive aggressive, right? They say,
Mhm.
oh, her little degree. You know,
Mhm.
so what? Anybody could get a master's. Well, why you ain't got one? And then you don't want to say something back to them because you don't want to fuel the flame. So you're sitting there like, wow, okay, let me just have this moment. But emotionally, it will tear your self-esteem down. And you got to set boundaries and stand your ground. You have to, because most of the time, the ones that are bragging, it's a little boy or a little girl inside of them that is so insecure, that don't know nothing, that don't like theyself, that's walking around with this big old this big old head mask on, because they so scared
Mhm.
that people are gonna see that they're gonna be exposed to the truth about,
Mhm.
to their truth. It's not even everybody else's truth that they're nothing. It's their truth that they're nothing, and they're scared they're gonna be exposed to their truth when nobody cares. I love you, Dr. Elaine. I don't care if
Right.
you don't have a master's. I don't care. But if you're a narcissist, you'll be bragging about everything because you scared that I don't think highly of you. And it's you.
And the flip side of that is, while they're doing that, they're not even realizing how they're exposing themselves of how insecure that they are. That's the
Woo!
crazy thing about it. They will go on, and people in the room be like this. Do they not know? Like she does not know, he does not know he's exposing himself right now. Everybody
Right.
else be looking at you like you crazy, like, okay, okay, okay. And that's the scary part about, right? Because you're puffing yourself up like you're this grand, wonderful person, right? You float on air, you know everything, the ins and out about everything. When
Mm-hmm.
we know in actuality that's not true. No one person knows everything. It is impossible. But the people, it just shows, my point is, it shows their insecurity.
Yes.
And
And
a
another
secure
thing,
person can identify it
right
off the
away,
rip. It's like, just let
right
them go ahead.
away.
Just let such and such go right on. She needs that. And it's like, oh gosh, here she come again. Do I gotta hear this again? It's like, stop, stop. Oh, but hold on.
Super
We
chat.
listen, we got when we have a super chat, we gotta stop everything. Comment. So we thank you. No, wait, hold on. Where the super chat? We thank you
We
too,
got a
Yay.
Elaine.
super sticker. Thank you.
We have a sticker. Thank you.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm
No, we
getting
we cut up here. No, we cut up here. You don't have to be sorry. You are at home.
Maddie said you definitely have to set boundaries. So we just want to make sure that I just want to add this commercial break of like, share, and subscribe, because we know there's some people up in the balcony. We want you to just hit that little button for us, please, and thank you.
And there's another thing too about the braggart narcissist. The scary part about it is they believe their own lies. They that that that's a sick person when they making up stories and they believe it, right? I'm telling you, I've dealt with this before. You ever been around a person and they're telling a story and you were there,
Mhm.
and they trying to tell you the story that
Hold
you
on,
know
we on
you
the
were
road
there.
tonight. We
You
we on the road tonight.
okay?
We
We
got we
are
got another
on the
super
road.
chat. Says keep
Keep
talking.
talking. There you go.
I'm sorry
Yes.
again. Oh, I'm
No, no, no.
sorry.
Don't be sorry. We
We
cut
love
up
it.
here. We cut up here.
Yeah,
We
so
love it.
listen, they will believe their own lie. And when you're trying to tell them, you really like, But I was there at the birthday party in 2007. I remember clearly what you said, and I remember clearly what happened. And then they will get mad. Oh, you no, you don't. And they'll storm out. And you like, I know he really or she really believes that lie. So the best thing to do is not even engage with it. If you once you share the facts, because I've done this, I've shared the facts. I'll pull up a receipt on you and be like, this wasn't your text message. And they will still,
Oh yeah.
because they believe their own lie. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you are dealing with this type of person, there's nothing you can do because they have convinced themselves of the story that they made up, and there's nothing you could do to change that.
Absolutely.
And three
Absolutely.
people could be there with you. Your sisters could be there, or your aunt, or their friend could say, "No, bro, remember," and they'll still be mad and be like, "Everybody's lying," because I clearly am the one who did that. So we got to be careful. The Matrix is real.
The Matrix is really real. I think also, to your point, you know, even listening to that story, it made me think of a female acquaintance that would do that. And I would be like, that is not how the story went. Or where did you get that from? And just going, okay, gotcha. See. So I think, to your point, I'm sorry, that it's not just, you know, a male. It's not men. It's both. We both can do it or see it or be able to recognize those traits. And now we just have a name for it.
And they'll tell you they sick. Like they'll tell you they got a disease. Like, yo, I'm telling you, I've dealt with some folks. They'll tell you they got cancer. Just to get, no, seriously. And they'll believe the lie. And then when people ask them for proof, they'll go off the deep end. And it's like, wait a minute. I'm asking because I'm trying to get information on how we can help you holistically. And you acting like I'm calling you a liar. But they get on the defense because they know that they're lying. And it's like, okay, let me just, again, the best way to deal with any of these narcissists. Because one woman asked me, one of my clients asked me, how do you win with a narcissist? You don't play the game. You're never going to win with a narcissist because they're sick. This is an illness. And people don't understand that this is a psychological illness. And they think that I could change this person if I'm kind, or I could change this person if I keep telling them the story over and over again. You can't change a person that does not see anything that's wrong with them. And the narcissist thinks that they are perfect.
Yep. And to your point, that is good. So to answer, no, this is not Women's Week, Mike. No, it's not. And to your point, you kind of touched on the question I was about to ask, which we can just skip because it was, what strategies can individuals use to manage conversations or interactions with a braggart narcissist who monopolizes attention? Ignore them, nothing.
Listen,
just touched on that. Just let them go.
If you have a conversation with them, and I had to do this with a person, and I teach my clients this who are dealing with baby daddy narcissists. That's a whole nother show, but we'll talk about that another time. But when you're dealing with a baby daddy narcissist or a narcissist in general, yes, no, and okay. That's the conversation. Yes.
Yes.
No.
And okay.
Okay. Because that's the only way you're going to get anywhere with them without driving yourself crazy. Because don't leave an open-end conversation with them when they've already had a full discussion with you. At some point when you know that this is not going anywhere, yes, no, okay.
That's good.
That's my rule.
Move on. That's good. We can move right on to malignant. Hold on. Malignant. There is the word.
Yeah. Maddie says many narcissists have a wounded child within. Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Stacy says they train you by their reaction to just go along with the BS because it's not worth all the other, I believe, reaction.
Over.
Yeah. It's because you're just going on. Yeah. So let's move on to malignant.
So the malignant narcissism is an extreme form of narcissism that includes antisocial behavior, a lack of empathy, sadistic tendencies, and a desire to control or harm others. Relationships with malignant narcissists are often abusive and manipulative, leading to emotional, psychological, or even physical harm. So the question is, what are the warning signs that someone is in a relationship with a malignant narcissist, and how do these signs differ from the other forms of narcissism?
Aggression is one. Aggressive. You have to understand that the other two narcissists are not aggressive. Isolation, when they're trying to isolate you, right? They're aggressive. They want to isolate you. They're paranoid. Be careful of any person around you that's paranoid, because I'm not paranoid. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not paranoid about nothing. So when a person come around me and they paranoid, it make me nervous because they looking over their shoulders, because I'm like, what's the matter? And they lack boundaries, and they lack respect for your boundaries. But remember, the only person that has to honor your boundaries and your non-negotiables is you. They take advantage of vulnerability. Like, and these people they scare you. They really scare you. They're scary. They make you stay with them out of fear. The other ones you stay because, again, like I said, you probably getting something out of the deal, your kids. But these jokers, they scary, and they will do something to you. So when you see that aggressive behavior, and it shows early on, that's the thing about it. It shows early on. And you're like, when they start going off about you going out with your girlfriends, and it's like, they're very possessive, you have to be really careful. And we as women, we want love so bad that we excuse these blaring, not even red flags, the warning signs like the police car. There's a red flag is the narcissist. The other two, the malignant narcissist is a blaring siren, and you're like, he didn't just grab my arm on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like a yank. And they do this early on in the relationship, and you're like,
Trey, I love this. I love this because, and I know Pache may have heard me say this. My dad used to tell his girls, he would say, and we were like teenagers. So he would say, if a gentleman or a man is trying to play fight with you, he would say what he's trying to do is to figure out if you will hit back or not.
Oh.
And he told us, he was like, and if he fights with you, you slap the mess up. So now he knows, oh no, she will fight back.
Oh.
I just never forget that. That was something he told us. And I'm like, wow. So when I do hear of some, let's say DV or things of that nature, I'm like, no, wasn't my experience. Cause I'm like, no, you hit me. If you even look like you playing around, and I just remember, just to use this as a sidebar, there was a situation where somebody was playing with a super soaker. And I was like, do not, you know how we feel about our hair. Do not wet me with the super soaker. Okay. So they super soaked, and I picked up a bottle of peroxide and I threw it. And it was like, that doesn't balance out. Well, I said, don't do this. Well, if I didn't wear glasses, I would be blind. Well, guess what? But we never had a super soaker problem after that.
Again, respect my boundaries. And that's the thing about this type of narcissist. They do not respect boundaries ever. And you have to be aware of people who cross boundaries, because this is the thing right here. Listen to this. They don't respect boundaries because they don't give a damn about the consequences. They ready for the consequences, whether it's jail, because they're malignant. They are, they gangster. So they don't respect boundaries, because most people respect boundaries because they don't want the consequences of their actions. This person will cross your boundaries, and in their mind, I'm still going to have you because I'm going to scare you into being with me. The fear that I'm going to put in your heart when you try to break up with me, leave me, stop talking to me, when I say to you, if I can't have you, nobody will. The way that I'm going to say it to you, it ain't even gonna be me twisting but the way and what did you say? Sadism? The satanic way that I'm gonna say it, you're gonna see something in my eyes that you've never seen before. And th- you got ladies and gentlemen, because there's some women out here that will
Mhm.
burn up your car. When that woman
With
says
you
to
in it.
you, with you in it, that when that woman
Mhm.
says to you, when she shows you these tendencies, when she show you crazy lady Sybil with the 7 personalities, run for your
It's
life,
not
fellas,
cute.
because right, because women do DV too. And that's because
Mhm.
they are a malignant narcissist, and men don't get the same kind of sort of empathy that we give women. Well,
Mm-hmm.
women be
Mhm.
doing stuff like you like, yo, don't be hitting my son. Cause I'm a boy mom. I'm like, don't be hitting my son. Don't be talking to my son like that. Don't be scratching my son. You know, these women
Mhm.
out here, and we hear these stories where the woman hurts herself, runs into a door, and then goes to the police. Like, these are what these narcissists look like. They're scary people, and they'll do whatever they need to do to make sure they keep you as a supply, as they call it. And
Mm.
to get out of these, my best friend is a DV counselor. And one time me and her had a conversation because I was like, people just need to leave. I don't even know why people would stay. And she was a DV victim when we were younger. And her
Mm.
children's father was very abusive to her. And she finally got out of it. And she told me kindly, she said, don't ever say that again because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what that person has said to this person. You don't know that they have threatened their whole family. You don't know bent her arm back so far and like a chicken wing, and he didn't care about going to jail. You don't know the mentality of this person, that he doesn't care about consequences to his actions. And he told her, by any means necessary, I will get you. So don't you ever say that again. So when we're dealing with this type of narcissist and any type of DV is concerned, you have to get professional help to get out of there, because they will. We see the stories all the time. They will harm you. So you have to definitely get professional help. And when people start telling you, you need to just leave and you need to do, and you know what you're dealing with in that house, you need to call a DV counselor. You need to call a support line, a helpline, and really get the help that you need when you're dealing with these kind of people.
Mhm.
That's
That's
good.
good.
I think we kind of sort of answered this, but I'll say it. It says, what role does gaslighting play in relationships with the malignant narcissist, and how can someone recognize and combat this behavior?
The only way to recognize and combat, again, and we can say this about all of the narcissists, is you got to get away from them. You're never going to combat gaslighting. If this is what this person is doing to you, and their main goal is to make you feel crazy so they can keep you under control,
Mm.
there's nothing you can do about it except getting out of the situation. And again, if you're dealing with DV, don't you can't just leave. It's dangerous for you. So you need to get the proper help that you need. But the only way to deal with all of these narcissists is to not deal with them, is to get out of the
Mm.
situation, because most narcissists, most, I'm not going to say all because I'm not a therapist or a psychologist, but most narcissists never change. And a lot of them just get better at manipulating when you think they've changed.
Mhm. Mhm.
So narcissism is just a scary thing. It really is. But when you start to tell people, my husband or my boyfriend is a narcissist, you're no longer a victim, you're a volunteer. There's a lot of people that don't know what these behaviors are. So they're like, I don't even know what I'm did. Like, what is what? But once you start saying it out of your own mouth that this person is a narcissist, you're part of the problem.
Mm.
And then, like we said at the top of the show, make sure they are one. Stop throwing this label around and putting this label on people when you really don't know the definition of it, the subsets of it, because it's not one definition. So, are you really dealing with one?
Come
Right?
on.
Or to your point, what you said earlier, am I the narcissist as the woman? Am I manipulating and doing things to make him stay? So, let's first of
Mm,
all, let's clarify the definition of the word and stop
yes.
throwing things around because it's on social media or it's the cool thing to say, and not realizing what you do when you label someone.
Oh, and again, let me say this to all the people online that are the social media doctors, psychologists, and psychiatrists. The only person that can diagnose a narcissist is a professional in that field. I don't care how much research you do, and you and your girlfriends or you and your guy friends are sitting around and they got the traits and the tactics of the only person that can diagnose a narcissist is a professional psychologist or psychiatrist in that field that has worked with this person to then give them that label. So we got to stop with all of these catchphrases, because social media got us in the headlock, baby. I'm like, I don't use the word narcissist. I'm like, I can't diagnose nobody. Now, I could tell you that I've dealt with somebody with some narcissistic traits, and I'm like, they're a little suspect, but I'm not never going to tell anybody whether I'm coaching them or not, that when they say, well, he's doing this, I can't diagnose your husband as a narcissist.
Right.
Y'all need to go to a therapy. Y'all need to go to couples therapy, and then that person can really work with y'all to figure out what's going on with y'all. But again, once you start labeling somebody as a narcissist, ask yourself the question, why am I still here?
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So yeah, we have co-hosts. You want to? I mean, we answered it, but you can read it before we move to the clips.
Yeah, I know. I think we can kind of just go to the clip because this is good. This is real good. Thank you, Trey.
No, thank y'all for having me.
Ooh, that's when I can relate.
Right. So we're gonna play this clip, and it's kind of comical, but there's a message and there's truth to it.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, you too. So I'm a narcissist. Yeah. But you seem so nice. Oh, I'm pretending. Really? Yeah, I figured out if I'm charming and funny and give you lots of attention and affection, then I can get you to fall in love with me. Why do you need me to fall in love with you? Oh, because then you're less likely to leave once I start lying and belittling and gaslighting you and chipping away at your self-worth in order to control and manipulate you. Huh. Yeah, it works especially well if you have a history of trauma where you tend to blame yourself even though you're the one being neglected. That sounds like abuse. Oh, it definitely is. Why would you do that? Oh, I'm deeply insecure. I can see that. Yeah, I have a massively fragile ego and a fear of rejection, so I've created a fantasy world in which I'm the center of the universe and everyone else is inferior. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you for telling me all this up front before we formed a complicated trauma bond that would have caused me years of misery. Yeah, well, I just want people to know what they're getting into. I mean, you by chance don't struggle with a lack of boundaries and self-esteem issues, do you? I do, actually. Dang it. We probably would have made a great pair. Yeah, I bet. A good thing you showed me these red flags up front so I could protect myself. Well, if there's one thing I am, it's honest and transparent in the beginning.
You know, how about that? Everything we talked about, like just wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Just wow. Hold on.
And
Stacey
here's
saying,
the funny part about it. She probably stayed with him.
Thinking, I can change him. I can change him.
I can change him, because we think that as women, if I love him enough, if he see the goodness in me,
He was
to your
honest.
point, like you said, yeah. And he said, yeah. So let's see what Stacey said. I'm sorry.
Stacey said, I was traumatized by a very ugly divorce of my parents. So for my children's sake, divorce was not an option for me. My husband plays my kids against me. So I'm always the crazy one. So I'm disrespected by my kids.
Wow. Wow.
You're still with them?
That is so unfortunate.
Him, I'm sorry, I didn't mean them with the kids, but you're still with him? I mean,
that she was divorced.
She's divorced now. So have you gotten?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. I'm sorry.
Her parents were divorced.
Right. I'm sorry.
Right. So are you still with him? And there's so many questions.
It sounds like she's still with. Yes,
I'm still with him. And how long has this been? Listen, you can hit us on the back end, because I don't know how long.
You're on the back end, on the back end. So this was amazing. So again, about the video, I think it was comical, but it was so much truth in it, because it talked about pretty much everyone we talked about, the manipulation and making you stay. What are your thoughts? What's the thoughts from the viewers?
I thought that was excellent. But the sad part again for me is So many women see these red flags up front, and a man can tell them these things, and they think that they can save him from himself or they can change him, and they praise the fact. This is so funny how our mind is. Oh, he was honest and told me up front. And instead of running for our life, we run to that one good thing about him when he told us or
One good
showed us,
thing.
or when he told us or showed us 999 red flags. The one he was so honest. He's just an honest person. But listen to what he was honest about. Please,
Right.
please,
And I,
ladies and gentlemen.
just to kind of jump in, just to even it out, I think women are the same way. You know,
Yes.
you can have it on both ends, where a woman can be like, oh, okay, let me learn to play into and be as nice and honest up front,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna come in for the kill later to see how I can disrupt your life. And to the point of that
Yep.
video of saying, or she said, to create this trauma bond. A lot of times people are together because they're bonding over a trauma that they have in common.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we become codependent
Yep.
on one another. I need you to talk to me wrong. So now that's how I think I'm loved, because maybe I saw that with my parents or the people, you know, or maybe my mother, and I'm just using this as an example. If the mother was a single parent and she was in abusive relationships, that then teaches the children, this is what love looks like, when that is not what love looks like. And then when you see a healthy relationship, you will sabotage it because you don't know what a healthy relationship looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be telling my story on here in front of these good folks. No, like seriously, my mother was a single mom, and my stepfather, there was DV. It was a totally dysfunctional hell of a household, and he was a police officer who beat my mother.
Mm.
So in my mind, as I got older, the things that I've learned, and I've shared this before, was that when nobody talks about the issue, like my mother had broken arms, broken ribs, broken nose, and she would actually get up in the morning or a couple days later when she was recouped enough and serve him breakfast and serve him dinner. So my way of thinking how we communicate something is, apology is we act like it just never happened. And for years it was just like we act like it just never happened. And this was my norm for a long time, until I was like,
Wow.
and when I got married to my ex-husband, he came from a very good home. Not that his parents didn't have problems, but he came from a 2-parent home, very structured. The mom cooked, she never worked. The dad was a hard worker with 13 kids. And when I got with him and he had normal behaviors, it's like, you're a stick in the mud. Like, what's going on with you? Like, he would say, let's sit down for dinner, and my son would want to go in his room and eat. And I would be like, just leave him alone, because that's the way I live. Like, we have people in and out of our house and all kind of stuff. But to Dr. Elaine's point, I couldn't understand the leveled out life. I needed chaos because of what I saw. And I'm just like, I need the trauma bond, boo. You ain't the man for me because you're not trauma bonded. And the man that I actually cheated on with from my marriage, his background was just like mine. So we trauma bonded for a long time because we could relate to each other.
Right.
And I'm just like, wow, now that I'm clear, I'm like, we have to really work on ourselves and look at our backgrounds of dysfunction is not normal for anybody that's listening. But dysfunction is normal if dysfunction is all you know. But you have to be willing to open your eyes and say, I don't want this for me. And that's what I had to do, to say, I don't want this for me. I don't want to be with a man that's traumatic and hasn't worked on himself. So it took a lot of work for me. So I'm single, and I'm okay with that, because I just don't want anybody. I just don't want anybody. I want somebody healthy.
Right. This was so good. OMG. So yeah, we have to have you back. We talked behind the scenes, but we will definitely have you back. We hope you
Please.
all enjoyed. Again, we broke it down because we just don't want to generalize. we're talking from the terms of men and women with traits of narcissism. It's not just about men, it's not just about women. We like to bring a balance here. So it's about both. And again, if you need help, seek help. It's nothing wrong with therapy. We don't no longer live in the Stone Age days where Black people don't go to therapy. Lies. We need therapy. Jesus, we can pray, but it ain't gonna pray everything away, right? We can go scripture. Works without faith without works is dead. But we're not gonna
Amen.
go to church. We know that's across the street. But again, seek help if you need help. And what we do, Trey, we let our guests have the last words. So
Okay.
I'm going to say something, Elaine is going to say something, and you can pretty much just close us out. Again, I'll just say we broke it down in three different stages to bring awareness to it. If you need help, get help. There's nothing wrong with seeking help. And from HG, always remember there's more in you.
Hmm.
That was good. Yeah, I feel like we need to go on, but in another show. I would just say, know your worth and be willing to wait until the person that's worth waiting for finds you and you can communicate in a healthy space. And I will say before you go, Trey, if you could just give your information as you close out. So if someone wants to get in contact with you, it would be great.
Yes, for sure. I would
And you
really
you
say,
have a request. Sorry, Trey, you have a request. You see this request? So it's not
yes,
just
Trey,
us.
you have to come back. Great teaching tonight. Oh, yes, I will definitely. Whenever they have me, I'm here. Whenever they and
Okay.
anytime they call me, I'm at their beck and call because I enjoy this conversation too, and they've been very gracious and kind to me. So I would just say to everybody that's listening, and I say this at the end of all my broadcasts and all my podcasts, you deserve the best. You really deserve the best, and you have to know that about yourself. And if you don't know that about yourself, and if you don't know who you are, the world will tell you who you are. You will be a puppet to the world, and the world will chew you up and spit you out. So, as my lady said, get the help that you need. The help is out there. We are not in the Stone Age again. Everything that you need is at your fingertips. And do your due diligence and get you some people behind you. Get you some good counsel. If you're stuck in a situation and you want to get out of it, you have to take the first step. And I have to say this, and I'm saying this out of love. Nobody's coming to save you, but there are life rafts out there that are the the little life preservers. They're floating all around your boat. You got to jump on one of them. You got to jump on one of them. And you can find me. I'm at Trey Kearney on all social media at TrayKearney on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm Trey Kearney. On TikTok, I'm at Trey Kearney 26. And my website, if you need me for anything, is www.traykearney.com.
And going forward, we will have her information up on the card as we do all of our therapists and coach. So if you didn't get that, you can email us at Harlem Girls and we can get that information over to you. And once again, thank you, and thank you. And thank you all for being here with us on this Monday night. As you know, you could have been anywhere else. So we hope to see you next Monday. Good night, all.